Hey, how are you doing today?
Dan?
Hey, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today.
That was cool, by the way.
Isn't that fun?
Thank
They
you.
make us look way cooler than we are. I love it. I'm always like so impressed when I see it. But yeah, so for those of you who do not know, Dan has a team. You are the CEO of the Beer Home Team, powered by EXP. You're also the founder of the Agent Academy. And you're also the one who trademarked this 5-day blitz, right? The home selling blitz. Is that what it is?
Yeah. That's
So,
exactly it. So
Okay.
thanks for having me, by the way. Cool.
No. So I guess first of all, tell us about this 5-day blitz. This I'm super intrigued on. I haven't heard about this yet.
Well, the key to it is it's what we've named our selling process. Most agents have some kind of process that they go through to sell homes. Now, some of those processes are okay. Some of those are pretty good. Some of those are really good. So they come in all different flavors, but everyone nevertheless has a process, even if it's a crappy one. And so even a crappy one can be named. And so my view is that everybody needs to build differentiation in their business, right? Money's going to flow to those that are differentiated away from everybody else. And so everything we focus on is how can we make sure that we stand out as different? So when we named our process and then trademarked our process, we become one of the only ones, if not the only one in the marketplace that has such a thing. So, for me, the nightmare would be to ever go to a listing appointment or try to get a listing appointment and have someone say something like, "Oh no, sorry, Dan, we've already interviewed, EXP, or we've already interviewed Remax, we've already interviewed Coldwell Banker, we've already interviewed KW." And a lot of agents hear things like that because they lead with undifferentiated value. The clearest sign of that is when your listing presentation has anything to do with your brokerage and not 100% to do with you and your system, your process. And so we lead with Beer Home Team and what the Beer Home Team has created. That's why we've never heard, "Sorry, Dan, we've already interviewed the Beer Home Team," or we've already interviewed. They could have interviewed 17 EXP agents. They haven't interviewed us. So it all goes back to that. It's one of our many points of differentiation that we try and create in our business.
That's really cool. I love that. That's great.
Sure.
So, and then also you are the founder of the Agent Academy. So that's a coaching system, correct? This coaching program.
Agentacademy.com. It's not really a coaching program in that, it doesn't offer. I used to do one-on-one coaching. I don't do it anymore because I spend all of my time that I used to use that for. I now spend with people in our organization at EXP, right? So, for example, later today at exactly 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, I'll be on the phone on a Zoom coaching, essentially one-on-one, one of my partners in Atlanta. But I will, he's not paying me fees though. That's all handled through the EXP ecosystem, and that's what's so nice about it. But Agent Academy does. I do sell online courses there. We've done over $1.5 million from our farm every year for several years running, and I've documented every single system and process, every marketing piece, every call to action, the schedule, what we send, everything, how we grew it, how to duplicate what we've done. I've documented it in a farming course that's offered at agentacademy.com, and then also our CEO course, which is that's like the unsexy course, right? That's the one for not really even meant for most. That's meant for people that are really trying to, we've documented 50-something videos worth of hours of content on the core systems that run the business. So for most people, it's going to be a boring course in that, you're going to learn how to run a sales meeting. You're going to learn how to, how we build our lead follow-up system. You're going to learn how we manage our showing agents. You're going to learn everything. So it applies to kind of people that are probably already somewhere north of 20 million or so in production and are trying to scale it up higher.
I think that's so awesome though, because there's so many people, even ourselves included, right? We decide to jump in. We never really went into it with the expectation of building a team, right? It kind of just evolved. Like we started capping out, and then you start figuring out how do I leverage more people, and so you just start doing things. But at least we kind of just jumped in, and we really didn't have that guidance and leadership at the brokerage that we were at the time, with how to really build a team and to manage the systems and process and making it where it's duplicatable over and over and over. We know what we did and we had success. So I think there's not a lot of training when it comes to that. Now we're finding it at EXP, but I think that's why we came to EXP, because we just felt so lost. A lot of people say, I'm going to build my own team, or I'm going to do this. Well, how do you do that? It's a lot more complicated than what it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with all that. So there is very little training on, the inner workings, the compensation structures, everything that it takes to actually scale the thing up. So that's what we documented in the CEO course. And so, obviously I'm a production focused person, and I think the success we have in many different areas of our business all roots back to the success we have as a sales team. So we'll never let go of that.
That's awesome. Dan, you're also, correct me if I'm wrong, are you at the top 50 teams in the Wall Street Journal? Top 50 in the country?
Yeah. We came in number 40 something, I think, or 30 something as far as large teams across the country in terms of production.
So your process absolutely works.
Yeah.
You're not just somebody who came up with a theory. You actually did it. Well, now let me ask, how many people do you have on your team?
We have now, so today there's probably about 40, call it 5 people on the team.
Okay.
Of which about 17 or 18 are W-2 employees, staff, operations, transaction manager, listing manager, their assistants, our ISAs, our marketing coordinator, our runner, our photographer, our videographer, all of the support people.
Yeah.
And then the rest, of course, are sales agents. Now, of the sales agents, say 15, 18 or so, that are fairly well established. Another, batch that are, they've been in the system for a little while and they've got to decide which way they're going to go. And then like a few that are really new and we don't know what they are yet or what they're not. Yeah. So that's about the breakdown.
That's awesome. And so how long have you had a team?
Well, I've had a team since like 2010, but it wasn't this team. And what I mean is, I started to build a team in 2010 and for the next 3 years was doing it all wrong and started over and was doing it all wrong and started over again. And so I've been in, that was like 3 years of just having to screw up a lot because I wasn't in an environment where I was surrounded by people that have already faced every possible business challenge that I was about to face. Yeah. I wasn't in an environment where people were incentivized financially to my success so that they would hand over literally everything and anything that they've ever built, or where I had, don't get me wrong, I could track someone down and get a phone call and, beg someone for a coffee. But after any one of those phone calls or a coffee, if you've ever done that, you've discovered that you're still left with about 100 questions that have gone unanswered. And then when you try to implement whatever you're trying to do, you either freeze and kind of go into inaction because you realize there's too many gaps left, or you do a lot of trial and error and it takes a long time and it's expensive. So that's the environment that I was in for a long time, unlike now where just able to grow faster, not because of anything less than just there's just amazing people. There's always been amazing people, but now those amazing people are actually like when they help me, they're not helping me because they're just in a good mood to help me. When they're helping me, they're actually helping themselves, which ensures that they will always help me.
Yeah.
And so that's but yeah, since 2010, so 2013. Late 2013, really, we sort of started to get the model about right. And that doesn't mean it hasn't evolved and changed and will continue to. Mm-hmm. But we haven't had to tear it down. And a lot of that comes back to just like, what are those first few positions you bring on? Are you bringing on staff or are you bringing on agents? Because that's always going to lead to predictable success or failure, or at least tip the probability in one way. The other side is also compensation, just something as simple as how you're paying people. Agents and staff alike. If you show me your compensation structure of your team right now, I can tell you how far you're going to be able to take your team and where you're going to get completely stuck and not be able to go any further.
Wow.
I'd be interested to have that conversation actually, because we just started the process where we've been hiring a couple more support staff, and I've been reaching out on, to people on that just because I'm like, okay, this is new, right? We need a couple different positions. They're new positions to the team. What does that look like? What does that job description look like? And how much do you pay these people?
Yeah, it's Now on the staff side, you can afford to make more mistakes. But on the, well, you can afford to make certain types of mistakes. But on the agent side, what the problem is that someone says, first of all, the producer, right, is typically still selling, they're in production. So there's so much profit that has nothing to do with the business. It has to do with, like, you can hide tremendous amounts of mistakes as long as you're still selling.
I agree.
But what you don't envision, you know, someone will say, oh yeah, like this is great, and like I now have a couple agents, and there's this like 1 or 2 staff members, and you know, we pay them 60% on this type of business, and it's all good because I keep this much and I'm selling my homes and everything is good, right? But as soon as you're not selling homes and all that income goes away, and as soon as you don't have 2 or 3 agents, but you have 10 or 15, or you don't have that, but you have 30, and now you need different layers of management. And like, you know, I didn't know I was going to need a runner. I didn't know I was going to need a videographer. I didn't know I was going to need a marketing coordinator, an operations director, a sales manager. I didn't know I was going to need, you know, multiple ISAs. I didn't know I was going to need showing agents. But there's still only 100 pennies every dollar.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you have 1,000 people, there's still only 100 pennies every dollar.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you don't structure it right, you will not be able to bring in a certain amount of support, which then basically means you have to go to a light support, high pay but light support model, which then also means that you're basically only getting people that are looking for a particular pay breakdown, which also means you have a revolving door, because there's not other things other than the split the pay that's keeping anyone there or making them come. And you can't afford to give more because you didn't plan with the end in mind when it seemed innocent enough early on.
Makes sense.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's so true. And I will tell you, we've even made that same mistake at sometimes, you know, you bring people on and they're like, well, I do this much business or this, or I do this, and they're worried about what their splits are going to be from one side of things. And all that happens is that, you know, ultimately the second that it's not something that's beneficial financially, they leave. You know, they don't stick around. You have to lead with, I think, the value of the team and everything that you offer so much more than just a split. Because there is so much, you know, especially even our time, right? There's so many hours a day that goes into just making sure, like, I think we worry about them like as much as our own children all the time, right? We're always worried about how everybody's doing, what's happening, what can we be doing to offer more or make sure that everybody's productive. So yeah, I love that, because I think that is I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we had even starting out when building a team, was just like, how do you figure this out where you feel like it is beneficial to everybody?
Right. And this is one of the main reasons why we love EXP, because we can get on calls with you. We can deep dive into this stuff and actually figure it out from a practitioner that's gone through the process of scaling a team from one deal to now you're doing hundreds of millions in sales. And how did you do it? Obviously, you've torn it down, you've rebuilt it, you've restructured it throughout the years, versus at some other brokerages, it seems like that's somebody's secret, or you need to learn it from a theorist and not a practitioner.
There you go. Agreed.
And now I have a question. When did you come over to EXP? How long ago was that?
It was February 2018. So about 2.5 years.
2.5 years ago. Oh, okay, awesome. And again, you said that driving force was really just having, like, being able to network and with everybody and collaborate?
It was really like 2 aspects, but the thing is they feed one another. That's what's honestly a little bit complex about explaining it. That's why you get kind of what I call the knuckleheads who run around just telling people they should come and get rich and retire tomorrow morning because of the revenue share. And it's unfortunate that happens, because it scares away a lot of people that just smell the bullshit, because it is bullshit if you run around telling some agent that sold like 4 homes last year that they should come over here and they'll magically retire.
Right.
Bullshit. Yeah. So, you know, and interestingly enough, the person telling them that's not retired. So anyway, I came over because I was buying my market center at Keller Williams, and I was about to write a really big check for a branch. That was that branch. Doesn't mean all branches, but that branch that was unprofitable. It made up some profit through the escrow company, but I was 40% of the escrow profit. So without me, that wasn't profitable. So I was like buying my own business essentially. And I was still moving forward anyway, because it was the best thing I knew. In the process of that, I started understanding what it really is to be a franchise, and what it really is to have a region, and what it really is to have all those layers, and where's the money really going. And I learned for the first time. I used to think that I was paying $3,000 at Gary in Austin every year through my franchise fee, which, by the way, I wouldn't complain about, because whether I was paying $1,500, which is what you are paying, or $3,000 or $5,000, it wouldn't have mattered to me, because it was good value. A lot of good coming out of that. But what I ended up learning was that, if you take a look at like the $26,000 I was paying in cap, it was all going to the local franchise that was actually unprofitable, and it all got sucked up in like all the expenses they have, just to run that local franchise. Which answered the question I always had, like, why don't they bring more speakers? Why don't they? It's not that they didn't want to. I'm sure they wanted to. They couldn't. And then my franchise fee, $1,500 of that's going to the region. Don't have a clue what the heck that money goes toward or for, but I'm realizing, like, wait, the region's got a good gig. Like they're on a revenue share system, regardless of anybody's profit. They're getting $1,500 from every single capper every single year. Looks good to me. From their perspective, right? That looks good. And then $1,500 to corporate, which again I thought was awesome value, because a lot of good came out of that. Really good stuff. And I was lucky to be in that environment where I was in Gary's mastermind, and really great environment. Don't get me wrong, awesome. Problem is, it was only 3 days a year, but those 3 days were awesome. Okay, so I started understanding all this. And by the way, because it's a franchise, you can you can do business here and build your business with these agents, but not with those, because those are other franchises in San Diego. So don't go across the street over there. And I'm like, really, I'm going to pay $140,000 to like not be able to grow indefinitely. It seems strange. Finally, who ended up being my sponsor, his name is Curtis Johnson, been a big producer for years. He came over. I'm like, Curtis, I'm buying a market center. What's up, man? Like, now I see you. I mean, I saw a lot of other people, but I see you. What's up? It came together for me. It came together from a production standpoint. It came together. Like, Dan, all those times when like you've reached out to me, or like try to learn something from me, or like ask me to a coffee, or where like we both try and like pick that person's, like, imagine if those people all were literally paid pretty handsomely to just hand everything to you. Mm-hmm. Look at the people here. Yeah. Like, this is about growing our business in a way that we could never grow it. Now, from the growth side, okay, so that's my agent side, my team side. From the I'm about to own a market center side, he's like, and Dan, look at what's going on here. If we just help each other grow our businesses, and we have production-focused conversation, let everyone else run around talking about revenue. Let them do that. Let's just have conversations about production on a daily basis. Let's be the producers, and let's invite people and just share the production conversations with people. Mm-hmm. That might be really attractive, which gets us more revenue share, which incentivizes us further to keep sharing our production tips and tricks, and the secret sauce to our teams, to our production, to taking listings, which attracts more people, because that's the conversation they want. Most agents want to understand how to go from 12 deals a year to 30, or from 30 to 100. Yeah. Which then brings us more people, which brings us more revenue share, which continues to incentivize us to keep sharing our production. Production is going to be the most attractive thing. And wait a second, there's no franchises and there's no regions. Mm-hmm. So if we're so attractive, and this is the fastest growing brokerage in the history of the industry, and this is like basically KW 1998, mm-hmm. and we take a look at who has the most profit share at KW, because it's not the today's superstars at all. It's the early. Pull up those lists, you won't recognize any names. It's the old people from that were there. Yeah. You're like, well, Dan, like, we get to like, this is like becoming the regional owner. Yeah. Let's actually delete talk of any brokerage, but if you were given the simple facts, there's going to be a brokerage, and it's going to be the fastest growing in the history of the industry. It's going to become really big, and you get to be the regional owner. Are you interested? In fact, and by the way, here's like a guarantee. It's going to happen, like guarantee from God. It's going to be huge. And would you like to be the regional owner?
Yeah.
By the way, a NASDAQ traded company, it's going to be worth billions of dollars. Would you like to be the regional owner?
Yeah.
And I would have said, yeah. How much will that cost? And then they would have, I'm thinking they're going to say like 7 or maybe 8 figures.
Right.
And then they go, nothing, Dan. It doesn't cost anything. You just have to show up, work hard, and help people. And they go, and now they're real with you because they go, by the way, you don't get to be the exclusive owner, but you're also not writing a 7 or 8 figure check.
Yeah.
So do you think that, are you interested in that opportunity? And I say, yeah, I'm interested in that opportunity. Like all of a sudden owning a franchise doesn't look that interesting at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I got it.
Nice.
Love it. Love it.
It's so funny though, because it's so not at that level, but very similar. We were, well, go ahead. You explain it.
We had some small ownership in a local KW franchise and along with title and stuff like that as well. And now, when we saw this, we're just like, why would we go deeper into that when there's so much opportunity here? And, to everything that you've said, the openness and the sharing throughout this industry, throughout this EXP organization from agents that are already doing and team leaders that are already doing more business and just help you grow. It's phenomenal. Dan, I know you've got a 2:30, so we gotta let you go. We really appreciate you jumping on with us.
This was awesome. I loved it. So much great content, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you guys. Thanks for reaching out. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, and
thanks for helping so many people.
Yeah, you too. We'll get together again. If you're in San Diego and need a house, what site should they go to?
Well, if you're a consumer, you just Google us. Beer Home Team, soldbydmbeer.com. If you're an agent, you have a referral out this way. Just grab me on Facebook or something, send me a message, or go to soldbydmbeer.com. You can also submit it through there, and we'll kick ass for you. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
It was
Have
so
a great
nice
day.
talking to you. Bye.
All right. Bye.